This is Paul Pesky-Solido, and you are listening to the Fulham Focus podcast.
Fulham.
Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why we will stay up this season. The Whites cannot stop the rot. Welcome to tonight's pod, but before we get stuck in, thank you to Paul Pesky-Solido for making that introduction for us for the show. Paul made 95 appearances for us, scoring 24 goals, and was integral for our 97-98 season, where we won promotion by winning the Division 2 title. Paul Pesky-Solido, we salute you. Alright guys, we've just watched it. Unfortunately, it was probably, in my opinion, one of the worst games I've ever seen us play on the television. And I will just go straight in there with you, Mr. Love, from the US of A. What did you think when you first saw the starting lineup of that piece of mess?
I don't know what to say. You know, it was really that bad. And I know we were talking earlier, and I was reading online where people are like, "Oh, this is the worst Fulham I've ever played." That's not true. We played this bad before, and that's what got us relegated. We played this bad our first year in the championship, and we almost got a double relegation. So we've been here before. We've got to figure out the solution, and I don't have the answer to that right now, but we've been here before.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can feel it. My gut's starting to slowly remember it. And for you, Mr. Reese, good to have you back, mate. What were your thoughts when you saw the lineup before the ridiculous performance?
When I saw the lineup, I thought because I think there was a photo that went around social media where someone had predicted the lineup, and it was more or less this, with the exception of Mawson, the guy who did the picture, had Mawson in, and Slav went with Odoi. Other than that, I think this is our best team. I'd have Mawson in instead. I'd have Mawson instead of Odoi going with the picture. But other than that, he got the selection absolutely spot on. That is how I would have had it. But there's just only so much you can do in getting the selection right. You've then got to go out and perform. And I've got to say that first half performance was terrible. Things picked up in the second half, but I'm just lost for words. I'm being brutally honest.
So hold on. I just want to make sure. So you were okay with the overall lineup, with the exception of, and I agree with this, remove Odoi.
Yeah, for Alfie Mawson. Yes.
Okay. So Jmac, I would disagree. What would have been your back four?
I actually thought the lineup was how I wanted it to be. I thought that I could picture Odoi being alongside Maxime Le Marchand because I thought Ream was just that bad for the City game. And I think Odoi keeps a little bit of know-how of how to play from the back, and Mawson is just ready to step in there. But I actually thought, again, like Reese, that this was a good team selection to start off with. And I was more confused about the bench. Now, that's something we really need to talk about. I mean, what was going on there, Don? We have absolutely no attacking players on that bench. I mean, it is inexcusable, right?
So I'm worried that Slav is... Everybody online keeps using the word out of his depth and stuff like that. And I don't want to say that because I really love the guy. I really love the guy. My thing is, I'm worried that he's not out of his depth, but he needs somebody there like Stuart Gray, who I don't know why he left, but somebody there who I guess was putting that little tidbit in his ear all the time. Hey, we need to try this. We need to do this. Something's got to change. Somebody's got to put something in his ear that gets things clicking. And when you go to a team like this, who on paper, we should have been dominating. Okay, absolutely dominating. And you're going in with nothing but a defensive lineup.
Yeah.
To me, that's not his style. And if he's lost faith in his style, then the team's lost faith in his style. We're just automatically going there to lose. Way too defensive-minded. And if he's going to go defensive-minded, why stick with the 4-3-3, which is a more attacking formation? Why not drop back in a more defensive position? If that's what you're going to do, if that's your lineup, play the lineup.
Yeah, and it's almost as if we treated Huddersfield like they were Man City in the Carabao Cup game. I mean, it was almost we were giving them that level of respect. Huddersfield, I mean. Reece, what were your thoughts of the 4-3-3 formation? I mean, there was just no attacking threat, even though this is meant to be our most attacking way of playing. I mean, what the hell went wrong in the first half, mate?
Well, I think the lineup he got correct, and I think the formation I think he got correct as well. The one thing you mentioned about the bench, where was Abubakar Kamara?
Exactly.
Was he? I don't want to say, was he being punished for diving against Bournemouth? Was he say, right, this is how we deal with you. You don't do that. So I'm going to, internally, I'm going to suspend you for a game, sort of thing, as a punishment. And then if that's the case, then it's sort of worked because that would have been a half. The second half, I think I would have had Kamara come on if of course if he was there, and it could be a thing of Slav sending a message to him saying, right, this is what you're doing. You're hurting the team by doing that. Don't do that again. Obviously, this is just speculation. But the fact that we didn't have any forward players on the bench, even if you want to dip down into the academy, the zero attacking options when we went behind. There's no attacking option to give us that extra bit of oomph. I thought the McDonald substitution was okay. We looked somewhat better when he came on, especially that first 5 minutes. But overall, you having to take off Vieto, an attacking player from midfielder, it just didn't seem right when you're a goal down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the bench, I mean, at least, like you said, bring some of the academy players in. But I could have sworn that, Cabano or an Ayite would have at least been in there at least. I mean, it's unbelievable. I think you had 3 centre-backs in that bloody bench. For you, Don, the first half, I mean, 4-3-3, there's no movement whatsoever. There is just a complete lack of desire to win the ball at the moment. Don't you agree? What is going on?
I don't know what the difference is between last season and this season, but you're absolutely right, okay? There's no fire in our bellies whatsoever. And to me, the only person on that field who showed an inkling of desire was Cess. Now, I got to say, if we're going to play the 4-3-3, okay? If you look at, go to the Fulham website. This is actually a really interesting one. I love to do this. Go to the match of the day portion of the website. Look at the actual game. Look at the starting 11, and next to the starting 11, you can do an average position of where each player was on the pitch for the majority of the game, okay? If you look at last year, and I went and did this, I picked a random game of Sheffield United, okay? And you looked at when we played them. Our average position was at least 6 to 7 men in the attacking side of the field, okay?
Yeah.
And our fullbacks or our wingbacks, their average position was around at least the halfway line. We had not done that, and I can't remember how many games, even against City, okay? We were so defensive against City, and we had to be. That's fine. But even in this game, a game where I feel like we could have been a lot more attacking, if you look at what we did, you basically had Limassol playing a sweeper in the back. He's the last guy back. And your back four actually ends up being more like Ryan Sessien. You've got Zambo and Gisa back there, Odoi, and then it ends up Christie, but it was Fusu Mensah for quite a while. You basically got 5 in the back with Limassol playing sweeper, okay? And the rest of the guys, the rest of the 4 guys, including Mitro, they're tight in the middle, tight as tight can be, basically in the center circle. We had no width. We had no real runs down the side. And it's like I heard one of the pundits say on TV, even when Timothy or Christie tried to put a ball over the top down the line or a nice through pass down the line, the players were facing him. And they were so close, you might as well have just tapped the ball with your big toe and gotten it to him, no problem. That's how close I felt we were the whole time. If they would have been more spread out and say Christie could have seen the backside of the player, the actual numbers, and put a ball over the top, maybe we'd have more of a chance to get running in. But for me, we're just too centralized, too defensive, and they just pulled us apart. I don't know what to do or what to change, but somebody's got to step up. And
say it, the manager. say it.
No, it's not just him. It's not just him. Here's the problem, okay? And this is a big problem. And I'll go back to you, Jmac, see if you can answer or tell me what you would do.
I'd love to.
Tom is not the captain. I love him to death. Great guy from everything I've heard, read. When he's on, he's on. Some of his field movements, his passes that he picks out, great, okay? We know that last year, Jmac was really the captain on the pitch. He was the guy who kind of stepped in, fired things up. We don't have a real captain in my mind who yells at people and gets them fired up and says, get your ass in gear and start playing or get the hell off the pitch. You know, this is where I want, like, I want Murphy, okay? I want a Murphy again. Who's our Murphy now?
Well, I mean, we don't have one. It's as simple as that. And that's what actually is now being said all through the Twitter universe at the moment, that there is just absolutely no leadership. But we keep making excuses here. We keep saying, now it's the leadership problem. It used to be, you know, the centre-back pairing. It used to be the how narrow we are. And now it's a leadership. I mean, it's just a new problem creates itself every single game. And I completely agree with you that leadership is something that we completely lack. I mean, I haven't seen proper leadership on the pitch since pretty much, I don't know, Kevin McDonald last season, or maybe even Jamie or flipping Hara. Do you know what I mean? But I actually don't know where we go from here when it comes to someone to step up and be a leader for us. I mean, Reese, what's your take on this? We need a bit of grit, and we need it to come from someone within the team to actually spur us on. It just doesn't come from Kenny, does it?
I think we need to look for leadership not just on the pitch but off it as well. I don't want this. I don't want it to end this way. But my word, Slavica needs to do something. He obviously gave him a kick up the backside at halftime because we came out firing in that second in the second half. But during the game, I just didn't see anything from him. The Sky cameras didn't cut to him giving like motivational, not rah-rah speech, but you get what I mean. There's got to be a kick up the arse from somewhere constantly, and I just don't think we're getting it. I don't want this to turn into simply it's all Jukanovic's fault. It isn't. The players have to take some blame of it. But at the end of the day, even when you have a captain on the pitch, who's above the captain? It's the manager / head coach. It's got to come from somewhere. And if it's not coming from on the pitch, it has to come from the dugout. And at the moment, I just don't see it from Slav. If I'm being brutally honest, I just don't see it.
So Jmac, if you listen to Matt, does that mean that Slav is too nice of a guy and we're just too nice of a club?
I'm really glad you mentioned this because I was thinking this when watching the game. From listening to a number of interviews from Slavica for the past week and a half now, I've noticed that he said in his view, I refuse to be one of these people who gets, wound up and screaming on the pitch. And I can see that Slavica is a very calm guy, a very, very, very calm guy. And I don't think that's what we need for this fight at the moment. I just don't think I think he makes his players feel too relaxed. It's even the way he's been talking in press conferences after, even before Cardiff, he says, if we lose against Cardiff, it's not the end of the world. We still have lots of games. And he sort of said the same thing, I believe, in the preview for Huddersfield. I just don't see much urgency from him. And I mean, maybe it's different when it's at Hotspur Park, but I think you're right. I think Slavica is potentially a bit too nice. What do you think?
There are managers who know when to throw a chair in the locker room, know to kick somebody up the backside. I'm not sure Slav's that guy. And if he's not, then we got to get somebody in who has the nit, the grit, and the balls to say, you know what? And a goddamn one of you got any fire in your belly. I'm sending you all down, and I'm going to bring up the 23s and the 18s, and I'm going to make a difference with them, or at least I'm going to die trying. Show these guys, listen, you're not just here to collect a check. You want to move away? Fine, move away. You think you're going to get an offer somewhere? I doubt it, to keep playing the way you are. Bring in the younger kids. Let's see if they can't do something different, or at least make these guys start fighting for their position on the pitch.
Yeah. Fact is, though, Slav has shown he's not willing to. It's his way or no way at all. He doesn't seem to want to adapt his style of play, and I think that probably goes for the personnel as well. He's given occasional games to guys in the past, like back in 2016-17 when we had Chris Martin gone ineligible because it was against Derby. He brought Stephen Humphreys on, and I think he got another game somewhere down the season as well. And there's the occasional cup games as well. But other than that, he hasn't really dipped into the academy. He's shown, I have this squad. I'm going to use this squad. So I don't think that threatening bringing in the under 23s is going to do much of it. It should be a necessity, if anything. Like if Kamara was injured, say, which again he could be, and you have to bring Cameron Thompson up, for instance, or Stefan Johansson, so you bring up Luca De La Torre or Matt O'Reilly. He only really does it in a necessity rather than I'm going to change something. And he, as I say, it's his way or no way at all. So I just don't think. I think the only way that we get a change of mentality is with a change of manager, and it has to.
Okay, hold on now. So here's my one thing, and I said this last year several times, and then I shut my mouth because the team went on that amazing win streak, okay, and could seem to do no wrong. What did he do then to turn the team around to get onto that winning streak? Okay, that's what I want to know, because a good manager knows how to take a crappy team or a team that's down in the dumps and flip it 180. So, John, what's he got to say? What's he got to do to flip this team?
What hasn't he tried already? That's the thing. He's tried everything. He's tried absolutely flipping everything in the book now. And the thing is, I agree with Matt to an extent that he should be looking into the academy. It's what, a lot of managers do. If the players aren't performing, the first team players of all those big salaries aren't doing anything right, then you start looking at the youngsters and give them a chance. I agree with that. But at the moment, I just do not understand where else he can go now. He's completely out in public for everyone to see the flaws he's making. Look at the bench. It's ridiculous. Look at all the mistakes he's made, the substitution, the inconsistent lineup. It's not good enough. And the thing is, we started the game, going back to the game quickly, we actually started the game defensively well. I thought defensively we were actually we looked 10 times more solid than we have as of late. But it's now come to a point where as our defense gets better, we now can't strike anymore. We can't actually make any attacking passes and get into the final third. Kenny, like we said, is completely ineffective. Seri, I don't know what's going on, looks completely disinterested. And Mitro is just, even though you can argue he's getting he's not getting the service, but his hold-up play is terrible. It's terrible. And I just don't know what else go on.
Yeah, something's gone wrong. It's not just the defense that's the issue anymore. It's the whole team. Like, you could excuse it if we were winning and losing, 4-3, 3-2 every week. Because then you could pin it on one thing and just the defense. But the fact that we're shipping in so many, and we can't get a goal from anywhere either. It's the whole team that is just disintegrated.
It's the quicksand effect. Okay.
Yeah.
There is this Keanu Reeves movie. I'm not an American football fan, so I forget the name of the football movie. But basically, the coach goes in and says it's the quicksand effect. Okay. One thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong, and before you know it, there's just nothing you can do. You feel like you've just been sucked down under the quicksand and there's no way to get out. And that's the problem with this team, okay? Whatever the difference is between last year and this year, I can't say as far as what made them have the desire, because I'm not seeing it on the pitch here now. And this is where you could argue, who ultimately is taking responsibility for the team? Who's that person that feels like it's their fault, taking charge and saying, okay, we've got to change this. Again, it goes back to leadership. I don't think the leadership is there right now. I think it's failed, and I hate to say it. Yes, Matt is right. It has failed at the top, okay? And it starts to flow down. So if you break down this game, like you say, you want to go back to this game, how do we change that? Okay, well, if Slav's going to stick with his 4-3-3, we've got to go back to how we used to play, and that's quicker passes, quicker touches. We seem like we're holding it way too much now. Like we are just questioning everything we do. A good example is Mitchell gets upset because Schuler's not making the run, okay? Or that Schuler got offside. He made the run too early. Well, Mitro, actually, if that had been reverse positions, you'd have been screaming, release that ball quicker, okay? Those are the kind of things I'm talking about. It's got to be quicker reactions, quicker thinking. And this goes back to what I said a couple pods ago. It's the on-pitch field awareness of what's around you, okay? There's a basketball player. This is where I need Matt. He's the American sports guy. There was this, oh my God, point guard with the Mavericks, I think. This guy could make no-look passes like nobody's business, okay? He was not the leading scorer, but man, he knew where everybody was on the basketball court the entire time. How come we don't have anybody right now being able to do that same thing, who knows where every player is and is making those, oh my God, passes, threading the ball, crossing the pitch? I don't feel like we've got anyone on the pitch that does that right now, not even Tom.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because we were talking about what we can do to change this. Now, Slav did make some changes, and going back to what Reece said, at half-time, he took Fosu Mensah off, quite right so. I mean, I believe it was an own goal that actually was given in the end. Did it turn out to be an own goal by him, guys?
It's been credited as an own goal, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I don't want to get into the details and the minutiae of it. I could give it either way, but
yeah,
it's been given as an own goal.
Well, look, because clearly Slav can do stuff because he has some sort of power. Because he took off Fosu Mensah and put Christie on, and he took off Vieto for McDonald, and things changed. We looked better. We looked more up for it. I thought Christie completely gave us pace finally on the right-hand side, almost as if like a shadow of Ryan Fredericks had just came onto the field slightly. So something did change, but it did not last for long enough.
That's Jmac. So
yeah.
I think Jmac came on. He actually kind of took charge like he does, and he kind of got the people turned around. He steps off because sadly he hasn't been playing. He pulled something, bad luck, whatever. We lose that little bit of what desire we had on the field. And then you put on Johansson. Johansson's not a leader, okay? He's that guy who's going to play hard. I'm not putting him down, but he's not a leader. So again, we've got to figure out leadership off the field and leadership on the field.
And it's something that Tim Ream has been trying to do twice now in open interviews to Sky or whatever media outlet, and that just hasn't worked either. So not only can we not defend at the moment, not only can we not attack, but we also cannot actually even try to pretend we have some sort of leadership at the moment off the field and on. So Reece, I mean, we did look better, but then why did it change? Why did the 4-2-3-1? I mean, is it purely down to McDonald, or is it still those players like Seri and like Schürrle just not up to the task right now?
I think some of it is down to the formation. As I said, when Kevin McDonald came on, it just calmed everyone down. We seem to be doing a lot better with Kevin McDonald. He just has that bit of a calming influence over everything. Just sort of everything's going to be okay. So in my mind, I'd have Kevin McDonald starting. If you want to stay with a 4-3-3, then I'd have McDonald over Anguissa. If you want to go for a 4-2-3-1, how you work out the 3 and the 1, I'm not 100% sure. But I was listening to the Sky commentators tonight, and they were saying that Anguissa always feels much better as part of a 2. If what we're getting in the second half is what's going to be going forward when we were a lot better, then by all means we need to change to a 4-2-3-1 and have McDonald and Anguissa together. Because I think I've seen a lot of people slagging off Anguissa, and some of it could be deserved. But I still think there's a few moments in there that says he is a good player. He can come through for us. It's just a case of whether or not you want to keep plugging away and try to make it work, or give a wholesale change and get Kevin McDonald in as the number one defensive midfielder. So that would be my... Again, how you work out attacking going forward, because you have to sacrifice either Tom Kearney or Jean-Michel Seri as that sort of behind the striker guy. If you went to a 4-2-3-1, you'd have to sacrifice one of them.
Well, I mean, you look at the goals that we've conceded in the past few games, and actually we've conceded 5, we conceded 4, we conceded 3, we conceded 2 the last game, we conceded 1. So we are making some progress.
Don't you
but
ever get a clean sheet at Anfield? Don't you dare say it.
I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, Mr. Love, let's go back to the formation in this game. I mean, what were your final thoughts on this formation and what we can do to tweak things even more?
Okay. I am a fan of the 4-2-3-1, but I'm
Yes.
also a fan of a manager who realizes what his players' attributes are and their disadvantages, their stumbling blocks are. Okay, our biggest stumbling block are a couple different things in my mind. One, with Sess way in the back playing the wing back or the fullback, we lose something in the attacking mode. So we've got to get him back up into the attacking mode. Now we'll talk about that about against Liverpool, or how I think we should set up in the for Liverpool or the future games.
Of course.
But basically, my point is we've lost that speed that we had last year. Basically, you had Taggart on the one side and you had Ryan on the other. Okay, so we don't have that speed going forward, and without that speed going forward, we're not really getting the outside service. The other thing that we're not doing well, okay, everybody puts Schuler down, I think, a lot. And I think, again, he's not being utilized properly, okay? He's not going to be that guy who can come back and help defend constantly. He's just not got the speed or probably the stamina. And so how do you rectify that? Well, we got to be more attack-minded if he's going to be that kind of guy. And this, again, goes to a 4-2-3-1. We can kind of put him up there on the outer wing, helping to supply or support Mitro, okay? And if we do this kind of formation, the 4-2-3-1, we make more triangles on the field, and we should have better possibility of passing, okay? But again, to do that, we've got to get these guys like Timothy and Zambo to get their freaking heads up and know where the good passes are going forward and who's around them that could pinch the ball and nick the ball off of them and pick their pocket, okay? So, Again, field awareness is big for me. But when you break down this game, it comes down to what's the problem with this season. And the problem with this season is, for this level of play, we don't have the guys really to support a 4-3-3. In my mind, we need a defensive coach to come in, and we need somebody to step up, can take these players and make it to where they utilize the strength of these players. I don't think that's happening. I don't think we're using the strength of these players. And I think what we're actually doing with the 4-3-3 is we're playing to the weaknesses of this players.
Don, when you say a defensive coach, do you mean a coach to work on the defense, or do you mean a defensive-minded coach?
No. I don't want... who's a famous Premier League defensive minded coach? What was Big Sam? Big Sam's usually pretty defensive minded, right? Right?
Yeah, he's the king of it.
So I don't want a Big Sam, okay? And I know people are online have been saying, "Hey, Big Sam might be the answer because at least we'll get the defense sorted." I don't want that. I don't want a Big Sam. I don't want a Big Sam for a number of reasons. I want just a defensive minded coach, okay? Who comes in and works with the team on the defense side. We're not organized at all. And that's, one of the major problems is when you're not organized in the defense, to where you clean things up properly, quickly, efficiently, and then you turn it into quick turnarounds where, we're looking for the break, or we've made that killer pass, or we just controlled it out of the back, okay? We're not doing any of those things at all right now. So we need that defensive coach that gets these guys organized in the back, understands what everybody's freaking role is on the pitch and who their supporting player is, and that includes from the midfield back. I'm not just talking on the back four. Get them organized and get them to where, okay, now we're organized. Now we turned it into how are we going forward? How are we going to attack? Whether it's slabs play, the classic control the ball, take our time, 3,000 passes, 3,000 touches before we actually try and put it in the box, or it's that, oh my God, quick play down the passes down the outside that we get a cross in. That's what I want when I say defensive coach. I don't want a Big Sam.
Fine, that's fair enough. But the problem is, if we go for a defensive coach in the end, if we do go for a Big Sam, which a lot of people don't want, and what I'm scared of is us turning into the new West Ham, of us saying it's not the Fulham way, and going back to a point that I'm sure Reece would completely applaud, is that the Fulham way is winning, and in this league we need to by God, we need to find a way. But I've just seen that Savisa has just given some final comments after the match, and I'll just quote them here to you now. This is just from a few seconds ago off White Noise. We didn't play the first 45 minutes with enough intensity. We started to kick the ball without any sense. I don't know why there was a lack of intensity. We are without power and enough intensity for the first 45 minutes. We didn't show the quality too. They seemed to be a little scared. We tried to push a few players forward more, but they didn't find the quality. We played many minutes 3 against 3, but then we added one more and noticed the plan wasn't working too badly. We had more chances, but not enough for a goal. And then he says this on his future. I trust in myself. People know I've been here for 2 years and how I work. The process has not started well. There are many games ahead of us. We must improve ourselves. I'm thinking about my team and myself. Definitely we are not at the best level and we are looking for improvement. So there you have it. He's saying pretty much the same things he always says. He's saying that how long he's been here for, and, you know, we have so many games ahead of us and we must improve, we must be braver. But he has said, I'm thinking about my team and myself, which is a very, very interesting comment, wouldn't you say, Reese?
You know, hold on, John.
Good
I'm
go.
sorry to cut you off, Reese, but here's the thing that, and Reese, tell me if I'm wrong. Here's the thing that gets me, okay? Slav always starts out slow. The past 3 seasons, he starts out slow. Somehow he gets it turned around. The difference is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Reese, this is the Premier League, not the Championship. Fewer games, okay, number one. Number two, higher intensity from other teams. Wouldn't you agree? And so he doesn't have the time to turn it around.
Exactly, and it's perfectly said. Is in the past 2 seasons in the Championship, we were, looking up the table somewhat, and take off 3 or 4 places for the time to adjust, and then all of a sudden we got it figured out, and we ended up in the playoffs both times. Whereas now, our ambitions were to be somewhere in the mid-table, in the lower mid-table, 12th, 13th. If you then take away the 4 spots on the table, knock it down, because that's the time it takes to adjust. You're sacrificing that to end of year. That gets you in relegation form. We're not at the top end where a couple of losses means, we're dropping down from 3rd place to 5th place. Now we're at the bottom end of the table. We're dropping down a couple of places because it's taking so long to adjust and implement the scheme, knocks us from 14th to 17th. And now, at the moment, bottom of the table. But at the end, extrapolate that over a season, that means we're going to end up 4 games short of where we should be aiming, which could be a relegation this year. But the point you made, Dom, and the way you went about, absolutely right. Bang on.
Okay, all right. So we'll talk a little bit about Liverpool in a minute, guys, but we'll end it there and we'll just pray that something good happens soon. Anyway, on the other side of this, we have the quiz.
Fulham.
And welcome back to the Fulham Focus podcast. Now it's time we're going to attempt to cheer people up a little bit here with a quiz. And we're going to start off with a guess the figure round. So guys, you can both each score a maximum of 18 points each. And if you're playing along at home, you can get a maximum of 23 points each. All right. And so we have the first round, general knowledge. All right. It's question 1 and it's guess the figure. And I will start with you, Don. Now, here we go. Guess the figure. How many times have we beaten Liverpool in the Premier League?
Ooh. 4.
Don is going for 4. And for you, Mr. Reese?
Oh, crap, I should have the calculations.
Yeah.
3.
Stand by. The answer is 6, so Don gets a point there. We have beaten them 4 times at the Cottage, just 1 win at Anfield and 1 victory at Loftus Road. So there you go. 6 times have we beaten Liverpool in the Premier League. All right, so that is a point for Don, so it is 1-0 so far to Don. Question 2. Which of these former Fulham players scored against us whilst playing for Liverpool? Steve Finnan, John Arne Riise, Jari Litmanen, or Stan Collymore? And Riise, I will go to you first, mate.
I'm assuming one of them did. I'm going to go for John Arne Riise.
We're going for John Arne Riise. Okay, and for you, Mr. Dunn?
Okay, so repeat the question just one more time.
Of course. Which of these former Fulham players scored against us whilst playing for Liverpool? Steve Finnan, John Arne Riise, Jari Litmanen, or Stan Collymore?
I would agree with Matt. I think it's John.
You are both incorrect, I'm afraid. The answer is Jari Litmanen. Never
Oh,
mind.
I want to overrule that. Jari Litmanen doesn't even count as a Fulham player.
You're
Emily doesn't
mean.
count. Got it wrong. But Jari Litmanen does not count as a former Fulham player.
Has he not played for Fulham
Whoever
before?
made that question up needs sacking. Probably Danny's work.
I think we've got too many sackings on the horizon at the moment, mate. Okay, so question 3. Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez, and which English striker are the joint top scorers for Liverpool against Fulham in the Premier League with 4 goals each? Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez, and which English striker are the joint top scorers for Liverpool against Fulham in the Premier League with 4 goals each? Is it A, Daniel Sturridge, B, Michael Owen, C, Robbie Fowler, or D, Peter Crouch? And Don, I will go to you.
Oh, good choices. Fowler.
You're going for Fowler, and for you, Mr. Reese?
I think it's Daniel Sturridge because I think he scored a hat-trick against us one year. So I'm going to give the edge to him. I think it's Daniel Sturridge.
Stand by. You are absolutely correct. It was Daniel Sturridge. So you have got a point, and Don, you lose that, but you still have the point from the first round. So it is 1-1 at the moment, guys. All right, question 4. In 1986, Liverpool battered us in the League Cup at Anfield in what is still a record loss for Fulham. How many goals did Liverpool win by 2-0? And Reese, I will go to you for this one, mate. How many goals?
I think it was 9. I think 9.
Okay.
Oh, my
Final
Lord.
answer, 9. And for you, Mr. Don?
Oh, God, I hope it wasn't that high. 5.
Stand by. I'm afraid if this was guessed to the nearest figure, Reese would win. But unfortunately, it wasn't right for either of you. But I can confirm that Liverpool scored 10. 10-0 in 1986. Liverpool battered us in the League Cup at
Oh, my
Anfield
Lord.
1986. 10 fucking nil.
Bloody hell, I
Excellent.
got it wrong. I was getting between 8 or 9. I undersold us. I undersold us.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, if you think times are bad now, guys, it could be 10-0.
Oh, don't say that. Give it a chance. Give it a chance.
We'll see. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait till Sunday. Wait till Sunday.
Yeah, fine. Fair enough. Okay. So you guys can get a total of 5 points here, guys, and the round is called Yes or No. So it's question 5, yes or no. Did they score against Liverpool for Fulham? So I will read them. Did they score against Liverpool for Fulham? Okay, so I'll go to you first, Mr. Reese. No, I will go to you first, Mr. Dunn. Andy Cole.
No.
Going with no. Mr. Reese?
Yes, he did. He scored at Anfield, 2005.
He did indeed. Well done. All right. Brian Reese, Mr. Dunn.
No.
And for you, Mr. Reese?
No.
You are correct. He did not score. Brian McBride, Mr. Reese. Your favourite player?
He is. I should know this. It would have been in the montage. No.
All right.
I'm going positive. I say yes because he's also my favorite player. Yes.
I'm afraid Reese is correct on this one. Brian McBride did not score against Liverpool for us. Okay.
I
Mr.
wouldn't
Don.
have forgiven myself if I'd got a McBride question.
I know. And Mr. Don, this one's for you. Dimitar Berbatov.
Yes.
For you, Mr. Reese?
Yes.
That is correct. He did. He did. And Mr. Reese, next one. Danny Murphy.
I am going to say no.
And for you, Mr. Don?
I say yes.
Stand by. He did not score. I'm sorry, Don. Yes, Reese, you got a
everybody's
point.
letting
He
me
did
down.
not score. So, at the moment, the scores are Don, you are on 1, 2, 3 points. And Mr. Reese, after that amazing display, you are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 6-3. It is 6-3. Don, you have 3 points. And Mr. Reese, you have 6 points. Excellent stuff. All right. And the next round is back and forth. You both have 5 guesses each here, guys. And here's the question, all right? So I'm going to go back and forth to you alternatively, all right? So here we go. And it's 5 points potential here. Name the starting lineup for Fulham the last time we played against Liverpool at the Cottage in 2014, which happened to be Rennie Mullenstein's last game in charge. And I just want to say here, this is the starting lineup. Substitutions do not count. Okay? All right, so, because you run the last round, Mr. Reese, I'll let you go first. The starting lineup, please.
Oh, crikey. Sasha Retha.
That is correct, Sasha Reefer. And for you, Mr. Don?
What year was this again?
This is 2014.
Oh, my Lord.
We lost 3-2, Gerard penalty in the last minute.
We actually played pretty well that game, and I thought Rulenstein should have stayed on.
You know, I said if Sasha Retha doesn't dive
Starting
in
lineup.
and give away that penalty, Mullenstein is still in the job.
Yeah. And I remember Tunnicliffe looking good too. Anyway, sorry, Mr. Don.
Hangerlin. I say Hangerlin.
Hangerlin? He did not. I'm sorry, he was not in the starting lineup. For you, Mr. Reese.
Okay, in which case you would have filled in the other centre-back, Amori Bieta.
He did not play in the starting lineup. I am
Who
so
were our
sorry.
centre-backs back then? Who would you
You'll find out. I will tell you. I will tell you at the end. You will know in all due course, my friend. Don, next guess.
Back then. I've already said Reese, right?
We haven't said Reese yet, no.
I think he was still in there, wasn't he? So John Reese.
You are correct. Risa is there. All right. It's 1-1, guys. Okay. The next one's on you, Mr. Reese.
Johnny Heitinger.
You are correct. Next one for you, Mr. Don.
Let's say Byrne.
You are correct. Mr. Reese.
Scott Parker. Surely Scott Parker.
You are incorrect.
Oh, bloody hell. I'm stressed out here.
God, I don't know. Remember that? Who is the? He was Welsh, I believe. Richardson, is that? That's the Welsh guy, right? Richardson.
Kieran Richardson.
You
You're going for Kieran
Richardson?
Richardson?
Yeah,
Wasn't
he
he?
was English.
He was a fullback, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was English.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
But
do you want to go with
Richardson.
Kieran Richardson?
I'm going with Richard.
Going with Richardson. That is correct. Well done. And right, last guess for you, Mr. Reese.
I think on the right wing that day would have been Ashkanda Jagger.
Ooh, there's a name.
Mm-hmm. Is that your final answer, mate?
Yeah, go for Ashkanda Jagger.
Was not in the starting lineup for that team.
Who the heck was in that team in 20?
I will tell you. You must all relax. I will tell you at the end. Done. Which one? The final guess done.
Who played back then? Commentator now. God, I'm the worst with names. Sidwell.
That is correct. Steve Sidwell was in the starting lineup for that team. So from that round, Mr. Don, you got, amazingly, you got 4 points out of 5, and Reese, you only got 2. Hey, so we.
I still want to know what's the rest of the dang team.
Yeah, please.
All right, here we go. All right, the starting lineup was Stecklenburg, John Arnorisa, Dan Byrne, Heitinga, Kieran Richardson, Sasha Retha, Kvist. You remember Kvist?
No, don't remind me of Kvist.
Yeah. Stephen Sidwell, Tunnicliffe, Holtby, Darren Bent. Darren Bent. Wow. Okay, guys. Reese is on 8 points. Don is on 7. So the final round is guess the player. Now I'm going to list out to you certain facts about this player. If you get the first to the third point, you get 4 points. If you get the fourth to the fifth fact, you get 3 points. If you get the sixth to the eighth fact, you get 2 points. And if you get the ninth to the 10th fact, you get 1 point. But if you shout out early and it is wrong, you are frozen out. So you have to be very tactical.
I'm terrible
here
at this.
Okay, well, let's just see. Let's just see, my friend. Okay. All right, here we go. Guess the player. Fact number 1. This player is 5'11". Number 2. This player was only with Fulham for 1 season, making 39 appearances. He was signed as a free agent by Kit Simons. He was released as a free agent by Slavica Jokanovic.
Buzz, Jamie O'Hara.
Final answer.
Yes.
You are absolutely correct. It was Jamie O'Hara, mate. Well done. So you got to the 1 to the 4. You got to the 4th point, so that gives you an extra 3. So 8, 9, 10, 11. You have won the round, my friend. 11 points. That is 11 points to Don's 7. Congratulations, mate. You have won the prize, and the prize is Stefan Johansson's chewing gum, which he managed to keep back into his mouth. It tastes disgusting, but please enjoy it. We're sending it to you in a nice big bubblegum wrapper.
As long as it's spearmint, I'm fine. As long as it's spearmint.
Shithouse flavoured, my friend. Shithouse flavoured. All right, guys. Lovely stuff. All right, on the other side of this, we are going to go back to a tiny bit more of the Liverpool preview.
Fulham.
Okay, guys. Liverpool. They are currently unbeaten in this league so far. Their home form is ridiculous. Their away form isn't too bad either. They nearly actually won against Arsenal just a few days ago. Don, I'll go to you. With this game, let's say, for instance, let's not talk about the big change we can make in slacking Slavica because we don't know what's going to happen just yet. If Slavica is still there, what is the best change we can make to this squad? Should we play like we did against City and Carabao, or do you sense something different should happen? What do you think?
So I want to see 2 big things, and I don't want to get into the players just yet, but my big things that I want to see changed. Number 1, I want to see fire in their belly, and I want to see them playing like there is no tomorrow. I want instant pressure on the ball, quicker passing, better cover for your fellow player. Okay, so that's number 1. We've got to just step up our pace and our desire. Okay. Number 2, play a formation that I feel would better suit the qualities of this team. Okay, and the individual players. And I don't think at this level the 4-3-3 is going to be that formation. Not with this team. I think if Slav, had his Liverpool team or had his City team, and I've said this before, he'd be at the top of the table. Okay, and a good manager knows if you don't have that team, you got to play to what you have. And like I'm always saying, I know it's a broken record, the 4-2-3-1. And I want to see better triangles, better passing, that kind of movement. Those are my 2 things to change dramatically from the last game to this game, by far.
Excellent. I completely agree with that too, mate. Completely agree. Mr. Rees, what do you want to see? We'll talk about Slavica in a minute, but if Slav is still there, what do you think should happen? What can we do?
I say we go for a 0-0-0 formation. Don't bother turning up. Just play the percentages and take the 3-0 forfeit loss. It will help us long term in the goal difference. Other than that, if we decide to go a completely different way, I think we go. People have been mentioning it a few times on the podcast and in the various WhatsApp groups. I think we try and go with what Gareth Southgate did during the World Cup and go for that sort of 3-4-2-1, however you sort of diagram it on a formation sheet. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, though. 3 centre backs of Callum Chambers, Alfie Mawson, and Maxime Le Marchand. But by all means, for the love of God, get Alfie Mawson in the team. Even if you have to sacrifice every single thing about the rest of the back line, get Alfie Mawson in the team. We spent 20 or 25 million, whatever it is.
It's 26, mate.
Whatever. On a sorry to shout at you like that.
No, I love it.
On a player on a central defender who has Premier League experience, why isn't he playing? I get he had the injury, but he surely has to have gotten over it by now. But get Alfie Mawson a proper centre half in the team, and that will probably solve some of our defensive issues. And then other than that, really, that's my only one. Everything else, just sort it out amongst yourself. But by all means, just get Alfie Mawson in the squad. We have a defender there. use him. If you want to have Callum Chambers alongside him, by all means. And I personally would go for Chambers and Marchand alongside him. But just get Alfie Mawson in the team. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but just get him in the seal. Get him in the squad. We will improve with Alfie Mawson in the squad.
All right. Can you just say,
well,
Alfie
John,
Mawson
what would you do?
time?
John, what's your one thing? What is your one thing, John, that you would just hammer home to this damn team?
I would make the changes that Reece is talking about. I would go 3 at the back. I think 3 at the back with 2 fullbacks is the only way we're actually going to be able to keep Salah and Mane quiet-ish, but not really. I mean, there's the 4-3-3 against this team will get absolutely slaughtered. I mean, they've got Shaqiri on the bench, for God's sake. It's going to be an absolute slaughterhouse. But I think the best thing we can do is 3 at the back with 2 wing-backs, 3 in the middle and 2 up top. And I don't want to see Schürrle up top either. I want to see Vietto and Mitro up top. I want to see Vietto playing off Mitro, and I don't want to see Schürrle in the team for the next game. I want him to come on as a sub, and I want to see how that works, because I just do not want to see him start whatsoever. It's not in my good books right now. But
so if you guys put Alfie in the middle, and you've got, say, I wish it was Brian, but I think he's still going to be out with a hamstring. Lee Marchand on the left side. Who's your right side then?
On the right side of centre-back, I wouldn't have Tim Ream. I think, again, I'm really sorry, guys. People are going to crucify me for this, but I still don't think Dennis Odoi has been as catastrophic as everyone makes him out to be. And I think as a right-sided centre-back next to Alfie Mawson and next to Le Marchand is the best way forward. And the thing is, Odoi is a good cover if, for instance, Christie, I hope it's Christie, not Mensah, makes a mistake, because he knows the right-back role as well.
Okay, so, John, I understand what you're saying on that. Your 3 in the back. That's all well and good. Here's my problem, Reece, with your formation, and that being basically, the 3-4-2-1, or that's basically like a 3-4-3. It goes back to our current problems, and I think the same problems will exist in your 3-4-2-1 as it does in a 4-3-3. And the problem is that we still aren't getting wide, and we don't have that pace down the left and right sides. And so for me, no matter who's back there, we're not going to have the cover going back. We'll get caught out like we did against Tottenham and Arsenal and other ones, where we've got too many players forward and they can't recover in time. And this is where I hate to do it, but we need somebody like a McDonald, or I don't know if Zambo can do it or not. We need somebody who kind of plays that stopper position, and takes the pressure off the back, because we just don't recover well enough. And I'm just not sure that we could do that in the 3-4-2-1. And again, it goes to the fact that we commit players forward and we just don't recover. We don't have that kind of pace, and we don't really have that kind of stamina. Does that make sense, Reece?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but with that sort of formation, again, I don't want it to be the only example I go to, but if you look at how England utilised it at the World Cup, because the sort of main focus point of it, because where most of the opposition's attacks have been coming from, has been sort of down our right-hand side. So if you had, Carl Walker did it for the World Cup, and you could have Callum Chambers doing that role, sort of as the centre-back, but whenever the right wing-back goes forward, Callum Chambers sort of slides over and sort of protects that right hand side. And then if you flip it over the other way, if Ryan Sessegnon goes forward, for instance, on the left, then it will be Le Marchand fills that role sort of as a left back on the left hand side. And then you talk about having a stopper. That's where I personally would have Kevin McDonald and do what he did last year when it was a back four, but Kevin McDonald sort of dropped in to make a back 3. So if we need to, so when we're attacking, it's basically everything just moves around one position. So Sessegnon goes forward, for instance, Le Marchand goes to left back, Kevin McDonald goes to centre back, alongside it would be, in my mind, it'd be Chambers, Mawson, and McDonald filling that role whenever we go forward. And then when everything comes back to normal, Kevin McDonald drops back into midfield, Le Marchand goes to centre back, Ryan Sessegnon comes back. Do you sort of see where I'm going with that? So we can still have Kevin McDonald as that stopper, that anchor in midfield, but it just adds a little bit more flexibility.
I agree. I can understand that. So, John, again, if we're going to go to that formation, we're going to have to sacrifice some players, I feel, because I just don't think that center is quite up to speed. So, John, I ask you, who do you drop in the midfield then? And who's your stopper? If because I'm assuming Jmac has pulled something, and I hope not, but I feel like he's not going to be there. What's your midfield then?
That's a good point. I forgot Kevin McDonald got an injury. Let's hope that's not too serious.
If K-Mac's injured, it's going to be Anguissa, Seri, and Kearney again, and I'm just so disappointed that apparently everyone was raving about it in the last game, saying that if Seri,
I don't think it's working.
Yeah, but everyone was saying if Kearney plays along with Seri, they're both brilliant together, and what a load of horseshit that was after watching that today. That's just not true. But I don't think we can justify having Johansson in there, and I don't think we can justify bringing Ibrahim Cisse in there, and I don't think we can justify getting Christie to come in like he did for Republic of Ireland as a centre midfielder. So I would have the three in the middle the same, unfortunately, as we had today. I just honestly don't know what else we can do at the moment. Our hands are completely and utterly tied due to injury and unfortunate circumstance.
So I guess that goes to what would be each of our starting 11 and the formation we're going to do. We just need to go back and break it down. I said we need more triangles on the pitch, okay? And I want to see more lines on the pitch. I don't want to see just a 4-3-3 or something like that where there's only 3 lines. I want to see more lines on the pitch, and that's why I'm sorry. I'm always going to go back to right now the 4-2-3-1, having 4 lines on the pitch. For me, my lineup has got to be on the outside. I'm going with Christie. I just was not impressed with Timothy today, so I put Christie back out there, and I put Ream and Alfie in the middle. Okay, I know a lot of people don't want to see Ream right now. They seem to think he had a shit game. I put that down to I don't think he's had enough playing time, consistent playing time, since he's been back from his injury. And that goes to pretty much the entire team. They just have not been together enough as a unit, to solidify. So Alfie and Ream. I put Lima Sean on the outside only because I think Brian's not fit yet. If Brian was fit, I absolutely would put Brian out there on the left side, okay? Sitting in front of them, I pray, cross my fingers, K-Mac just got a little knock, and McDonald's going to be back in. I would put McDonald in there. Who's his partner? I'm not sure right now. I guess you put, Anguissa in there, Zambo. I can't think of anybody else right now to drop in there. But unlike you guys, I still would put Schürrle out there, okay? Tom plays your number 10. Hopefully both of them really step up. And Seth's obviously back out on the wing with Mitro up top. We've got to get more service up top. Otherwise, none of this is going to work. So that's my formation. That's my lineup.
All right, guys, very good. Look, let's have some closing thoughts because today, I thought tonight we were going to win, and I was planning on singing Katy Perry Firework, and it was all going to be beautiful. And unfortunately, that's not the case, and we just haven't. We're in a very, very bad place, guys, and I think if things continue like this, we are going to go down. And I just want some final thoughts from each of you on this. Don, I'll go to you. What do you think is going on in Slavisa's head tonight? Is he on the way out for you?
I can't help but think he's got to be home drowning his sorrows. And I would have thought that vodka would be the favorite Serbian drink, but I was corrected. And I don't know if I'm going to even say it right. Rakia. I'll bet you he's 5 fingers deep into a bottle of Rakia.
Swimming.
And he is probably pulling his hair out going, what the hell has gone wrong? What do I do, or what did I do to deserve this? So I feel for him. I don't know what the answer is. And I really kind of hope we would maybe stick with him at least through December. I know a lot of people say out now. I personally, I don't want to see a bunch of uproar and changes. I don't want to see chop, 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 even with managers. So I don't know what else to say other than I hope he is drowning his sorrow and that this is the night we turn the corner and something magical happens. At least for his sake. For his sake.
All right. So you're saying pray for Slav.
I say pray for him. Pray for him hard.
Pray for Slav. And you, Reece, for your final thoughts, please, mate, after this disastrous evening.
Things can only get better. But however we decide to go about it, if it is by changing the manager, if it's by I don't say happening, but if it's by bringing in the under 23s, as me and Donna mentioned earlier, something. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom of the table. Things can only get better. And think of it this way: once we get through what is most likely to be a nightmare game against Liverpool on Sunday, we get the international break. We get the Wayne Rooney love in for the England-USA friendly. Everyone's going to enjoy it. Wales have got a crunch game against Denmark. After this, we've got 2 weeks where we can just forget all about this, just recharge our batteries. Just get through this 1 week, guys. I beg of you. We will get through this together. We will.
All right. Lovely. All right, guys. Thank you very much indeed. And happy bloody bonfire night. Nice one. All right. So subscribe, rate us on iTunes, tell all your friends about us. And next week's show is out on Tuesday morning and will include all the fallout from the Liverpool away game. So that is goodbye from me. That is goodbye from Don.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, everyone.
And that is goodbye from Reece.
Bye, guys. Come on, you guys.
See you on Thursday, guys.
Fulham.